Welcome to BCP Eastern Planning Committee for 25th June 2026. If we open with housekeeping, please.
Thank you, Chair. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Council for live broadcast and will be published on the Council website for a minimum of 6 months. The meeting may also be recorded or streamed for live or subsequent broadcast by members of the public, although ultimate discretion in this matter lies with the Chair. For those in the room, please note if the fire alarm sounds, please exit the building by way of the nearest available signed fire exit route and make your way to the assembly point at the War Memorial in the gardens opposite the front of this building in Bourne Avenue. Finally, please ensure background noise is kept to a minimum and mobile phones and other devices are turned off or switched to silent for the duration of the meeting. For those in the room, this includes turning off microphones and turning the volume down completely on your laptops. Thank you.
Thank you. So first item is apologies.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we've received apologies from Councillor Clements and Councillor Flagg, and we have no substitute members.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Councillor Paul Hilliard. I'm the chair of the committee. I ask the officers and members to introduce themselves.
I'm Councillor Marianne Le Pedvin, Councillor for Newtown and Heatherlands Ward and Vice Chair of this committee.
Councillor Gillian Martin, Boscombe West.
Councillor Felicity Rice, Oakdale Ward.
Councillor Patrick Canavan, Boscombe West.
Councillor Michael Tarling, Christchurch Town.
Matt Gillett, Talbot Woods Ward.
George Sanders, Planning Officer.
Jenny Jones, Senior Planning Officer.
Simon Gould, Development Management Manager.
Rebecca Rhodes, Clerk to the committee today.
Okay, thank you. And other officers might join as and when to present and give information. So item 3 is declarations of interest from members. Anything to declare? No. If anything comes up, then let us know. Item 4 is confirmation of minutes for the meetings held on the 25th of May 2026 and also 5th of June 2026. 22nd of May and 5th of June. Any things to raise on those? Everyone happy? Approved?
Happy, approved.
Approved, thank you. So item 5 is public issues. After officer presentations, we will hear any public speakers followed by any ward councillors who wish to speak. And that leads us on to item 6, which is schedule of planning applications, and 6A is 5 Seafield Road. Jones.
Good morning. I'm presenting this application on behalf of a colleague. Hopefully I'll be able to...
Sorry, if I could just say, so Councillor Toby Jones has just, Toby Slade has just entered the room, so perfect timing. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
So I'm presenting this application at 5 Seafield Road, Bournemouth. It's for full planning for the erection of 6 flats with off-road parking and after the demolition of the existing house and garage. This is the site location. It is in East Southbourne and Tuckton Ward. And it is located within the district centre, within 400 metres of a district centre. The red star denotes the location of the site. The site sits on the corner of Douglas Road and Seafield Road. Access to the site is currently off Seafield Road to the west. The site's approximately 100 metres north of Bellevue Road, where there are a number of shops, and it is 112 metres to the closest bus stop, with services to and from Bournemouth and Christchurch, making this a sustainable site. Okay. In size, number 3 Seafield Road to the south and number 4 Douglas Road to the east are the neighbouring properties. Number 1 Douglas Road and number 7 Seafield Road overlook the site to the north. Number 12 Seafield Road, a block of 2-storey flats, and number 14 is a 2-storey residential property. and this sort of explains the mix of different housing and building types in the location. Okay. This is viewpoint 1. The site currently comprises a 3-bedroom, 2-story dwelling on a corner plot. As per the photos, there is a mature hedgerow located on the western and northern boundaries. Right, yeah. These images on the left illustrates the boundary of number 5 and number 3 Seafield Road, and on the right illustrates the boundary of number 5 Seafield Road and number 4 Douglas Road. Moving on to the development we're looking at today. It should be noted that previously an appeal decision allowed the redevelopment of the site for 5 flats, and that is the allowed appeal site plan, which also shows the roof plan. And so we've got to keep that in mind, that there is an extant permission on the site. Today we're essentially going to be looking at the differences from what is approved and what is being applied for now, what is proposed. This is the proposed site plan with the roof plan. There remain 6 new car parking spaces that are unallocated and shared amenity areas to the north and south. The bulk and the size of the building has not changed from the allowed appeal. However, certain external elements of the building have seen changes, and these include the following. The introduction of 2 new dormers to the front, circled in yellow here and here. Sorry, it's a bit tricky using a touchpad. The removal of underground storage bins and the introduction of above ground waste storage, which is located to the front here. It also sort of reconfigures the roof lights on the rear roof slope and the eastern roof slope, just removing a couple of roof lights here and just changing the position of these ones slightly to accommodate the new internal layout, and introducing another roof light to this roof slope here. There's also changes to creating a larger window on this western elevation as well. The removal of a small area of decking to the front. And in terms of objections from public comments, it's mostly been around not enough parking. However, the LHA have said that the material difference between the proposed and the approved schemes is the formation of an additional flat at roof level, thus equating to 1 additional bedroom in the development. Consequently, the proposal generates a resident parking requirement for 6 cars and 12 cycles. The 6 unallocated parking spaces are acceptable, and 12 cycle spaces are also acceptable. However, 1 additional external cycle stand is required for visitors, and this will be required by detail and secured by condition. Moving on to the elevations, this was the allowed appeal elevation drawings. The inspector in paragraph 9 of the appeal writes, while the appearance of the proposed development is not for consideration at this stage, because it was an outline application, the appeal submissions demonstrate that a scheme of an appropriate height and of a traditional design and utilizing appropriate materials and fenestration could sit comfortably within the street scene of both Seafield Road and Douglas Road. The resulting development would change the appearance of the site but while it would be less spacious than the current layout due to the increased site coverage, which would reduce the space around the building, it would not differ significantly from other developments nearby in that sense. The current proposal elevations, again, the yellow shapes just denote the changes. So we've got 2 additional dormers to accommodate the additional roof level flat and the change in layout. The removal of this small area of decking to the front, the enlargement of this window, again at roof level, and the insertion of another roof light on the eastern elevation. The current proposal is comparable to that described by the inspector that was allowed at appeal. I note from the objections regarding the introduction of balconies, this was raised as a major concern by the officer, and these were removed through amendments from the south elevation. The eastern ground floor flat has its own access, while the other 5 apartments have access via a central staircase. As previously described, the changes seen in this proposal are 2 new dormers and the removal of some roof lights on the rear elevation and a larger window to the loft apartment on the western elevation and a roof light. This is the current proposal street scene drawings. Right. This is just referring to the allowed appeal in paragraph 8. Despite the disparity between the scale of the surrounding buildings and the appeal site is located in proximity to flatter developments of a greater scale, including that at Seafield Road directly opposite the site. The proposed development, by virtue of its traditional design and overall site, would echo elements of both the flattered developments closer to Bellevue Road and the more domestic scale and character of the surrounding residential development. It would thus be befitting of this site, which lies between 2 distinct character areas. I'm just looking at the allowed appeal floor plans. This was previously approved and is extant, and the proposed floor plans. On the first floor, some shared storage has been altered to become en suites for bedrooms to each flat on that level. And at roof level, the proposed floor plan shows a 2-bed apartment and a 1-bed apartment. The 2-bed apartment is on this side of the plan, and it's a 2-bed for 4 people. And the smaller 1-bed flat is this one here. Both show usable layouts. Flat 2 would fall slightly below the government technical housing standards for a flat for 2-bed flat for 4 people. However, these standards are not adopted in BCP or in Bournemouth. Sorry. The allowed appeal inspector felt that there was no substantive evidence that the internal dimensions of the living accommodation would fail to provide suitable living conditions. And as per the allowed appeal, bedroom 2 of the ground floor flat, which is 10.4 square meters, and bedroom 2 of a first floor flat also falls slightly below the government technical housing standards in respect of 2-bed flats for 4 people. However, as these standards are not adopted in BCP area and the inspector has concluded that they're satisfied with the internal dimensions of the apartments, it seems correct to continue that line with the assessment of the roof level flats. And in conclusion, the majority of the application site benefits from planning permission through the extant appeal decision. The proposal would result in 5 additional properties, which in the context of the LPA shortfall has been given significant weight in this assessment. The proposed 5 2-bedroom apartments and 1 1-bed apartment meet a demonstrated need within the Dorset and BCP housing needs assessment. The economic benefits during the construction phase and the use of local facilities by residents, given the scale of the proposal for 5 dwellings, afforded moderate weight. The external changes are considered acceptable in terms of design and appearance and impacts to neighbours' amenity. The internal changes are considered acceptable in terms of future occupiers' amenity. And subject to the relevant conditions, highways, drainage, and contaminated land are considered acceptable. A legal agreement has been secured to mitigate any the impacts on the protected sites. And accordingly, the proposal is considered compliant with the local plan, the MPF, when read as a whole. Hence that. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Now, if we go to speakers, please.
Thank you, Chair. So we have nobody registered to speak in objection, but we have Darryl Howes on behalf of the applicant. If you want to pop up to the microphone, please. Lovely. So if you just press the button on the microphone when you're ready, and you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, members. We at Darryl Howells Planning Consultancy fully support this application and endorse the officer's recommendation to approve. Firstly, please can we say thank you to your planning officer for his constructive dialogue during the course of the application, his suggestions to improve it, accepting amended plans, and of course the supporting of the recommendation before you. As you've heard, the planning inspector has effectively approved this building, its position on the site, its height, its scale, its width, its massing, the 5 flats within it, the car parking arrangement, and the landscaping to be changed and reinstated where necessary. Of course, there are differences between the allowed scheme and this proposal, which have been demonstrated to you this morning. The largest change is, of course, within the roof space of the building. The inspector allowed a large 3-bedroom flat across the full width of the roof space. This proposal seeks to subdivide that large flat into 2 smaller units, which, according to your latest Dorset and BCP Council housing needs assessment, demonstrates there is a genuine need for housing of this type in this area. This change will enable 6 flats within the building, which has already effectively been approved, thereby providing the optimum quantity of units in accordance with your own housing and design policies. As you've heard, the exterior of the building is substantially the same, other than the additional dormers. Those windows and the relationship to the properties to the rear were substantially accepted by the, they were accepted by the planning inspector, even the positioning of Velux windows serving lounges. The landscaping of the site will remain substantially unchanged from that which the inspector allowed. The minor loss of hedging will be mitigated by new planting, including of trees, and a planting of a new hedgerow on other boundaries. The car parking and cycling arrangement is substantially the same and has been accepted by your transportation officers. At the request of your planning officer, we have adjusted the elevational treatment by removing the balconies which were originally proposed and changed the glazing proportions. So now the building proposed accords with neighbouring flatted development nearby. My client is eager to secure this planning permission and commence development. He is happy with the conditions that have been imposed, and we request that this committee grants planning consent today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we have the ward councillor, Councillor Novo. If you want to come up and you have 5 minutes or so.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. I'm Councillor Bernadette Nanovo, and I am councillor for East Southbourne and Tuckton Ward, where this site is based. I called this planning application in because there was a lot of interest in it from local residents who are not happy with what they saw as overdevelopment of this site, CS 41. There were also concerns about increased parking and at this part of Seafield Road and the overlooking from the balconies that were originally in the plans. But as these have been removed now, the issue of overlooking has been dealt with, and this is definitely an improvement. This part of Seafield Road is particularly congested due to the loss of the car park at Southbourne Crossroads. And lots of cars are parked there on a daily basis and in the evening on the pavements. And there have been a few minor incidences that may not have been reported to the police as they weren't serious, but it is very congested and residents are concerned about the additional chaos when the works begin. But I completely understand there is planning permission already for a 5-bedroom block of apartments. So the planning committee will take all that into consideration. And I know that residents will be really happy that the planning committee has scrutinised this and that due process has been followed. And I personally have the utmost confidence in this planning committee. And thank you for your time today on this very hot day dealing with this matter. So I hope I have been sufficiently brief. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. So, Ms James, was there anything you wanted to respond to from what's been said to people? But also, if you could just cover off what the addendum sheet relates to. Thank you.
A little bit further down the process, I just noticed that there was an anomaly on the plans where the roof lights didn't match what was on the elevations. 2 moments, I'm just going to open the addendum, but my computer isn't allowing me to do that. Sorry. Basically, there was one set of double roof lights on the southern elevation that shouldn't have been there, and so were removed. And the drawing pack has been updated, and the officer report has also been updated to reflect that.
So, in your presentation, the pictures we saw earlier, those
Correct.
are correct.
They're correct.
Okay, thank you. And the part about obscuring, that's the condition, and that's clear. Okay, members' questions? No. Okay, we shall go straight into debate then. So obviously, as we heard from the officer and the architect, that it is the same footprint of the building. It is merely the upper floor which is converted from a one property to 2 properties in the upper floor. So any debate? Councillor Slade?
Sorry, it is a question. I think the obscure glazing, is it in, what rooms are they in?
That's along the southern elevation to prevent overlooking to the properties to the rear.
And coming late, but it's first floor upwards, it's not ground floor, it's just first floor.
Yeah, just the first floor, because at roof level they're on the roof slope.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Martin?
And sort of a question as well is I'm thinking about noise levels. I mean, I know that now under building regs, I think you have to have flats have to have certain, you know, they have to be soundproofed. But it's a bit concerning. Will the soundproofing be sufficient? Because you've got bedrooms over lounges and lounges over bedrooms, and do you know what I mean? It's
yeah, that element is under building regs as opposed to planning, and so yeah, it's not usually part of our assessment anymore.
Okay, Councillor Rice.
I just wanted to make a comment on the cycle parking. It's obviously compliant with our cycling requirements. But just a note for the developer in terms of accessible cycles, so that's cycles that may be carrying children or people with disabilities. It doesn't look as if the setup is ideal for that. So it's just to bear it in mind if there's any minor adjustments that you can consider for future developments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Slade.
Thank you. I know the area very well. There is a lot of flats around there. It is residential. I don't believe an extra parking space is going to cause any issue at all. There's blocks either side. They're slowly working down. There's another larger site being built out down the bottom. I get we're in debate, but I'm happy to move this and propose that we move and we accept this.
Okay. Councillor Tarling. Just
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
okay. Thank you. Any final debate on this? No. Councillor Martin.
I'd just like to say, I know the balconies have been removed for good reason, but I'm always banging on about how important balconies are, particularly in flats, because it gives the residents a little bit of outdoor space. So not much can be done about that now, and I will vote in favour of it. But for future reference, I do like to see balconies.
Thank you, Councillor Pedman.
Yes, there's room, as has been said, there's very little room for debate. It's just the top floor, whether it's subdivided into two flats instead of one big one. But I do want to make the point from the original application that I'm delighted to see that there's a majority of 2-bed flats. We've had so many applications recently that have been almost or possibly entirely 1-bed flats. 1 bed, 1 person in some cases. So to see 2-bed flats, a majority of 2-bed flats, I'm delighted about, because that is much more in line with the perceived registered housing needs for the area. So that's a plus point in my view. And as I say, given that it's already been through appeal and approved at appeal, I'm happy that we go ahead and approve it in short order.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no further debate, we will go to the vote. It has been proposed and seconded as set out to grant. So if to grant, show now, please.
That's unanimous.
Okay, that is fully agreed. So that application has been approved. Thank you.
Chair, can I just get a glass of water?
Sure. So also we'll do just a quick change of officers for their presentations. Okay, so we welcome Miss Haynes, the officer. Yep. Yeah, Miss Haynes. And so the next application is 6B, which is 44 Minton Road, Christchurch.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, so this is a Section 73 application for the variation of an approved scheme that was for alterations and extensions to the existing single-storey 2-bedroom bungalow at 44 Minton Road. So the application has been brought to committee as the applicant is related to an officer who works within the planning department. This application follows 3 earlier applications, all of which have gone to committee for the same reason. The first proposed a single-storey side rear extension and the increasing of the roof height to accommodate 2 additional bedrooms at first floor level, which was approved by committee some time ago now, a couple of years ago. And this is the application, the Section 73 application seeks to vary this approval. The later or more recent applications that went to committee related to a proposal to increase the side extension to a 2-storey height to provide 3 bedrooms at the first floor, both of which were refused by committee, with the most recent refusal being appealed against, and that appeal was dismissed on the grounds of character and amenity, with the latter relating to the overbearing and overshadowing impacts of the proposed 2-storey side extension that would on the neighbour at number 46. I should say at this stage this application is part retrospective of the works, including the changes proposed within this section 73 application, have already been carried out or are being carried out on site at the moment, as we'll see from my site photos in the slides later. Just going to do a quick run through of this application. As I see, we've gone through this when it's been to committee before, but I'm just going to give it context again. Yes, the application is a detached chalet bungalow set on the western side of Minturn Road, which is a cul-de-sac comprising of varied bungalows of chalet and single-storey bungalows. And the site here showing its wider context within Stanpit, very suburban area of Christchurch. And I can also see that you've got the aerial photograph showing it. That actually shows the bungalow prior to the enlargements that have taken place on site, for obviously for the approved scheme, with the changes now being proposed. And you can see the bungalows on either side at number 40 and 46. So here I've proposed a slide that shows the approved block plan and also the block plan submitted with this application showing the proposed changes. I think the key change that you can just see here is that in terms of the footprint, the side extension, the single-storey side extension is to be further from the boundary with number 46, and also to have a staggered layout here. It's actually smaller. This is the site plan. It sort of better shows what I was illustrating in the previous slide with that change. As you can see there, that's the approved site plan, and then this is the proposed site plan showing those changes with the side rear extension. You can see that they've helpfully put dimensions on as well to show the distances to the boundary with number 46. You can also on this plan see that a dormer is on there that is smaller than that which was approved, and that will be shown on the later slides. So this is just the existing, or rather what the bungalow was before, single storey with all accommodation at ground level, bedrooms at the front, and also there was a detached garage, which this scheme is obviously demolished to replace with the side and rear extension. Oh, that's rather unhelpful. That should be showing as illustrating the changes as I've shown on the ground floor plan. But effectively, what that's masking is was going to be some of the sort of accommodation. The key thing on that, it was going to have a store, and the porch area was going to be. So you'd come in sort of forward from the driveway and then turn into the hallway, whereas now I think you'd come in at the side there and enter, yes, where the hall is. And you can see that better on the revised plan. So most importantly, the plan of what they're proposing now is showing very clearly the changes there with that staggered layout, and also, yes, that reorientation of the door to the side, which is quite common on bungalows to have that side elevation entrance door. Yeah. This is more what I'm trying to sort of show here with the changes. So as I said, you can see there the approved plan with the full dormer was going to provide a sort of full ceiling height to the bathroom and bedrooms. And the revised plan shows now that it's a reduced dormer that will now just have the full height over the shower room. The other change I've also illustrated with the circling there, actually is also on the front as well, but you can see there was to be a sort of recessed Juliet balcony on the approved scheme. I think that's also shown on the front as well, but that's been omitted on both actually. So at the rear and the front, both were not going to be recessed or not have that sort of inset that you see here, which just shows it like that. Flush on that, right. So this is existing elevations, as I say, of the bungalow as it was before, with that detached garage. It's a standard single-storey hipped roof bungalow. This is a comparison of the proposed the front and the front elevations what was both approved and what's now proposed. You can see that the scale is the same, the height is the same in terms of the enlarged bungalow. The changes being the side extension and the dormer. Broadly, the side extension is of the same height, as you can see here. And it's really just the inset. And you can't sort of see it's on that circled red part where it's obviously staggered in. There's now also not to be any glazing, or there won't be a sort of door where the store was going to be. It will just be a blank fascia. Side elevation, the elevation facing towards number 46, showing the full the approved scheme with that sort of wide dormer across the full span of the roof, accommodating, stretching across that full accommodation at the first floor level. Now it's reduced to a much smaller dormer on the roof. It is obviously higher, but it is overall the massing is reduced because of that. And instead there is to be a roof light, which is, as you can see, marked out to be high level, to provide to light into there as opposed to any outlook, and that will be over serving a sort of wardrobe area, not so it's a secondary, it's not a habitable room. It's the rear elevation. I think the other thing I think you do see on the front, and you also see on here, is that there was to be sort of a heavy fascia eaves on the approved scheme, both on the enlarged bungalow but also the single story rear extension. That's sort of been taken away, so it's a lot more stream, thinner, I suppose, not as bulky in that. And the other thing is the change in the fenestration as well that's taken place, and particularly on the first floor windows on that rear elevation. You also see that replicated on the front elevation, and also yes, the doors at the rear extension are slightly different as well. And lastly, the side elevation that would face the other side towards number 40. Less marked changes here. The key thing being, obviously, yes, you can see that those thick fascias are omitted, and also those fascias that were on the side rear extension, you can clearly see that there, which was also on the other side elevation, can be seen as being omitted. And then the other change is that there was to be obviously one single roof light, and that's now to be a double roof light and then another roof light, but all of these are to be high level, same above 1.7 meters above finished floor level, which is consistent with permitted development. And this is the aerial photos, again showing it as it was before in relation to the neighbours, both looking from the road and looking from the rear garden angle. You can also see the single story rear extension at number 46 here. This is the chalet at number 40. So just provided for context, or rather re-kept in this slide from previous presentations, just to show as it was before with the bungalow in relation to the neighbours, and also the photographs at the bottom which show it's the street scene opposite and further up towards the junction, showing the sort of varied street scene in terms of the scale with the chalet bungalows there. And these are some site photographs very recently taken, showing, as you can see, the scheme being built out with the changes that are proposed under this application. Namely, obviously, the key change when you're looking at that, obviously, behind the scaffolding is that change in fenestration, which obviously has a more vertical emphasis. And obviously, then looking up and down the road, showing it in context with the bungalows on either side. There's a few more photographs just on this extra slide, just to show it within the site. So in relation to the side boundary with number 46, the rear extension is also shown, and also provide another one showing it in relation to the number 46, whether you can see the white single story rear extension, which is the white extension there on the other side, so just here. You can see that. You see, yeah, there's the chalet, and then you can just see the top of the dormer and the top of the chalet. So it's still being constructed, so it's not finished. So it's not in its final state in terms of materials and so forth. It's not quite as aesthetically pleasing. It's still a work in progress. So to conclude, having assessed the submitted plans in terms of the proposed changes, it's not considered that their design would be so significantly different to what was previously approved, and would not harm the visual amenities of the site or the wider street scene. The proposed changes also would not have any adverse impacts on the amenities of the occupiers of neighbouring properties, being that it's actually reduced in scale. It's actually been brought away from the neighbour at number 46, in terms of the dormer and side extension, that is. And obviously they're keeping the obscured glazing and high level roof lights as well to ensure no overlooking. And the changes again won't affect the existing parking or access arrangements for the site. So on this basis, the application is recommended for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So as there's no speakers, we'll go straight into members' questions. So Councillor Tarling.
Yeah, in the original application, were there any objectors from neighbours that this would materially impact this condition release?
So for this obviously varies the approved application, and on that there were no objections from neighbours. There was an objection from the neighbour in relation to the later applications for the two-storey extension, but that's not what we have before us yet. We're dealing with the variation of the approved application for the single-storey side extension.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No, so we should go to debate. This is actually in my ward, and as we saw from the officers' pictures, there's a lot of development going along this road and other roads in the area. I think, as we said, this is a minor in the scheme of things, and certainly the amendments, I think, are an improvement for the neighbours' amenities. So, any other statements? Councillor Tarling?
Yeah, I'm happy to recommend that we grant approval in accordance with the officer's report.
Okay, Councillor Gillett? Happy to second that. Okay, is there any further debate? No, so we should go to the vote. So it's been proposed as set out and seconded. So show now if you're in favour.
Yep, that's unanimous, Chair.
That's fully agreed. So that application has been agreed and approved as set out. Thank you, Ms. Haynes, for the presentation. So the last application item is 6C, which is 46 South Road, and that's Mr. Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. This application is for 46 South Road. It is a retrospective application for the erection of a single-storey lean-to timber structure to cover the existing rear patio area. It is part retrospective, as you'll see, and it has come to committee as it is a staff member's application. So just to address some amendments quickly, the proposed floor plans have been changed just in line with what was meant to be submitted. So the original floor plan showed a shower room window. This is removed in line with the elevations, and therefore the condition for the plans as they're also changed, and you can see it correctly up there. And just an admin error at the beginning of the report under summary of recommendation, it should just say grant in accordance with details set out below. So the key issues regarding this application are the impacts on design, character, appearance of the area, the impacts on neighbouring residential amenity, and the impacts on B&G. So South Road is a residential street within the Springbourne area of Bournemouth. Number 46 is a terrace dwelling house with the rear elevation and garden backing onto Grantham Road. So you can see here, that's the front elevation there, and then the garden backs onto Grantham Road here with access. So here you can see where the application is retrospective, the majority of the work's already taken place. You can see the built form between the boundary to the right and the existing protrusion to the left. The material finish is UPVC and glazing, and the bottom right image shows its visibility from Grantham Road, which is the rear boundary of the dwelling house, as explained. So the proposed design would actually see the full rear elevation at the single storey completely cladded with UPVC. So if you look in this bottom left image here, you can just see the extension, and it will be cladded across to that existing protrusion there, and the window removed. As you can see for the floor plans as well, if we look up here, you can see it is for access to and the shower room just here. So the first of the key issues, design, character and appearance of the area. The extension is a modestly sized rear single-storey extension which is subservient to the host dwelling house. The extension's material finish does not stand out and integrates into the dwelling house when the works to clad the ground floor extension are finished. The roofscape is only visible for some parts of Grantham Road. Most views are actually screened by existing boundary treatments, other rear extensions and surrounding garden structures that are already present. Therefore, the proposal is deemed compliant with policy CS41 of the course strategy with regard to this. With regard to neighbouring amenity, due to the existing extension into the garden, this blocks the view of the new extension from number 44 South Road. With regard to number 48, which shares a boundary of the east side of the dwelling house, that's where the extension is situated. The single-storey nature of the development and the guidelines provided by the applicant show there's no impacts on the windows at number 48 as per the requirements of the design guide. The 45-degree guideline clearly clears the extension in elevation and therefore it is deemed compliant with CS41 of the core strategy with regard to this. This slide shows a bit more what I mean. You can see here this is the nearest affected window and the 45-degree guideline clearly clears it in elevation. In plan, it would intercept, but the guidance only requires clearance with one of those two instances. On this right-hand side picture here, you can see the two windows I was referring to. This one here, that's the one we were taking the guidelines from. There is also a facing window here on the elevation. However, the distance and the boundary treatments and the height and bulk and massing of the extension mean this window would not be affected either. Just to cover B&G off quickly, this is a householder application and it's therefore exempt from those requirements. So it is considered that there is no harm to the impacts identified and the proposal is compliant with CS41 of the course strategy and the recommendation is for planning permission to be granted subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders, for the presentation. So we'll move to members' questions. No questions, and as we heard, this is coming before us. It's a minor application, but because it's a member of staff, it has to come through to committee. So anything to debate? No. So I shall propose from the chair then that approved as set out. Councillor Slade?
I'm happy to second.
Thank you for that. And if there's no further debate, we'll go straight to the vote. So if you're happy to approve as set out, show now, please.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Again, that's everyone approved, so that application is approved as set out. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Item 7 is the appeals report. So as we've seen this month, again, all majors and non-majors applications are from the planning authority are within the target ranges. Again, if you heard, like Councillor Canavan and others, if you were at Cabinet or were listening to Cabinet yesterday, the portfolio holder gave an update that the planning team are considerably ahead on clearing the backlogs, and in particular, I think the majors are all being determined within time frame, so a positive movement within the team. So if there's no further questions, no, so we shall end the meeting now. Thank you for your time in this heat. Thank you.